World Underneath, Bouquets and Dirges. Chapter 1, Emerald Vines. This one is for Talia. On the trellis are emerald-coloured vines. Raphael holds one of them. Soon, this garden full of exotic plants will be the place where Talia and her lover will hold their wedding. Not bad. It matches the design of the necklace I gave her. The garden's owner, Charles, is a jewellery designer. He enjoys gardening in his spare time and has done conservation work for endangered plants and animals. This is how he had met Raphael. Choosing flowers is a psychological experience, Charles says. It's a process akin to someone trying to understand another person. Really? Raphael draws a series of random lines on a sheet of paper. I chose them based on the impression they gave. It doesn't sound as cool. People have also said that giving flowers to a lover is a surefire way to their heart. Charles remembers a girl he caught a glimpse of in Raphael's photo album. If you ever want to do that, you're welcome to pick any flowers from my garden. Stop reading stuff from those weird articles. Charles shrugs and responds with a helpless smile after being teased. He walks back through a path that's adorned in a faint floral fragrance. When he returns, he hears a conversation between Raphael and Talia. Are you really not going to attend? It's my wedding. Nope. The aloof artist continues to doodle. His phone is on speaker and his responses are quick and simple. If Charles wasn't doing a commission for Talia's wedding, he would have believed Raphael. But I finally found someone I like. You said the same thing last time. And how long ago was that? Why are you so stingy with your blessings? I blessed you when you made the pact. Any more would be pointless. What do you mean? Not everyone is as lucky as you. I'm hanging up. Raphael ends the call and hands the sketch in his hand to the jewellery designer. The once chaotic lines are now an elegant yet fancy bouquet. A pencil may not be able to display any colour beyond black, but Charles can still imagine the blue that Raphael chose earlier. He carefully takes the sketch and hands over the necklace design. This is from the plan we previously agreed upon. The gemstone is Talia's favourite and matches the colour of her wedding dress. Before he can finish his sentence, they hear Talia's laughter from Raphael's phone. Raphael's expression changes as he realises the call is still going. Talia sounds even happier than before. I knew you wouldn't disappoint me. I'll be waiting. See you then. The call actually ends this time. Charles chuckles and ignores Raphael's annoyance. There's no point in hiding it if you're going anyway. He points out a few modifications about the gemstone setting to Raphael. You put a lot of care into the details. I'm sure my plan will be harshly criticised. Raphael lowers his gaze and doesn't reply. Charles thinks he's maybe thinking about his lover. Sensing that Raphael has no intention of responding, he changes the conversation topic to the necklace's colour scheme. Chapter 2, Wedding. Passing through the archway decorated with emerald vines, Raphael reaches the central fountain. The relaxed atmosphere in the garden makes him sigh, even though it's what he'd expected. He picked out 2 suits for today, but after a few minutes he ended up not wearing either. Instead, he chose comfortable, casual clothes suitable for dancing, which turned out to be the best choice. If Raphael wore a suit, he would have been teased by Talia, the same person who's wearing a simple dress and dancing barefoot on the grass. He's too plain. If he fell into a pond, let alone the sea, no one would be able to find him. Our Talia is the most dazzling pearl in the ocean. If you can find her, wouldn't you be able to find him too? At a small round table, a group of Lemurians are whispering to each other. Raphael turns to see a familiar face he hadn't seen since the disaster. He cheerfully plays an ancient Lemurian instrument, a happy melody flowing from his moving fingertips. Thank your friend for me. His garden is beautiful, Talia says to Raphael, after she makes her way through the crowd to him. He was kind to let us hold the ceremony here. Raphael's gaze shifts to the man not far away from Talia. He doesn't mind. He likes whatever I like, she says. She spins around in front of him. Her flared skirt twirls, making her look like a graceful swimming fish. He designed this for me. It's pretty good, right? It suits you, Raphael chuckles, recalling Charles's words. The process of choosing flowers for someone is also a process of understanding that person. Maybe the same applies to designing clothes. He's silent for a few seconds. He drinks his wine and pushes the empty cup back onto the table. Raymond is dead. Talia takes a deep breath, a smile blooming on her face. Then, we can all get a good night's sleep for now. Yeah, for now. She understands the emphasis Raphael put in his words. Crossing her arms, her gaze wanders over the singing, dancing and chatting people. Guess you don't want fleeting happiness. Raphael subtly turns away. To avoid Talia, he inevitably has to look at the guests attending her wedding. Almost all the familiar and unfamiliar Lemurian survivors are present. The music is harmonious, and the singing is rich, but every smile seems to be covered with a grey veil. Then he hears Talia's melodious voice again. I'm getting married not because I've forgotten the past, but because I want to live in the present. Look at every Lemurian here. They're all looking for an anchor, a reason to live. I found mine and others have found theirs, Talia says. Her eyes lock onto Raphael. But there are still those who don't realize how important it is to have an anchor. Raphael shakes his head. Lemuria is more important. Lemuria will always be important. Talia puts down her glass, looking serious. But what about you? When your own heart is devouring you, is there anything that can pull you back? Can you really let her go? The light in Raphael's eyes dims at her last question. Raphael, have you ever thought about your own wedding? He's silent for a while. Then he takes off the boutonniere from his chest, places it on the table, and turns to leave the bustling scenery that doesn't belong to him. No. Chapter 3. Gardenia. Freedom, happiness, and rebirth. Charles hangs the shovel back on the toolboard, nodding at the light yellow gardenia Raphael has been staring at. That's what it means in the language of flowers. Are you giving it to someone? A relative's daughter. Raphael stands under the courtyard door's eaves, tilting his head to observe the flower's petals. Can you tell me what it means again? People believe it represents freedom, happiness, and rebirth. I highly recommend it for the opening ceremony for the school year or a birthday party. I'll take it. Raphael returns the sample to Charles and walks past him. Help me arrange a bouquet. I'll take it to her funeral. Her father can no longer give her flowers. Funeral? Charles stops counting his tools and makes a mistake on his paper. Wouldn't that be a bit? It's fine, Raphael says. Based on what you told me, it's suitable for a funeral too. Chapter 4. Lament. Raphael crosses the courtyard as it's bathed in a golden glow. He walks through the corridor where Raymond's glorious deeds are being played on a loop on a digital screen. Then he arrives at Raymond's house. Raymond's funeral is being held in the living room. At the entrance, the butler mechanically takes the condolence money from the mourners. He looks stiffly and professionally ahead until Raphael passes him. He narrows his eyes and quickly sizes Raphael up, seemingly surprised by his presence. Raphael ignores these malicious glances and walks straight to the center of the hall where the glass fish tank is placed. He pauses for a second or two in front of the mermaid skeleton inside, then turns to Raymond's coffin and stands with the others. Mum, this is so boring. We were supposed to be on vacation in the Arctic. The child's voice echoes clearly in the hall. Her innocent comment makes the parent cover the brat's mouth in embarrassment, quickly returning to a sorrowful expression after flashing an apologetic smile. After all, she had yet to secure the inheritance she wanted. When it's Raphael's turn to mourn, he steps forward. He leans over the coffin and places the carefully selected gardenias on it, making sure its most beautiful side faces the fish tank. In the midst of all the black and white, this bright yellow bouquet is the only burst of colour. He clasps his hands together and closes his eyes. At a barely noticeable angle, he aligns himself with the bouquet, silently reciting a eulogy. A familiar song begins. Talia stands at the very front of the hall singing a dirge. Raphael opens his eyes. The dazzling sunlight passes through the fish tank, and the skeleton inside silently gazes at the sky in a forever frozen pose. He knows who Talia is singing for, just as she knows who Raphael came here for. Murderer. You murderer. As Raphael is about to leave, an elderly woman suddenly pushes through the crowd. She rushes out of the hall, pointing at his retreating figure and screaming at the top of her lungs. My boy was only 39. It was supposed to be a time for rebirth, a fresh start, but he died because of a stupid, frivolous painter. A painting that doesn't make any sense. Raphael, you killed my son. Like sharks smelling blood in the water, the reporters' cameras instantly surround him. The mourners in the darkened hall look on, excited, yet they also carry the right amount of regret. No one steps forward to intervene. The child who wants to go on an Arctic vacation watches with interest, standing on her tiptoes to take a lollipop from her mother. How sad. With her son dead, the anchor that held her up was taken by a dark tide. Raphael calmly looks around the room full of cameras and leaves. Chapter 5. Bouquet. Another week passes. Raphael slips away from his uninspiring new work and Thomas's repeated nagging to visit Talia in a small house in Verona. Talia is admiring a dress. It's one among countless other dresses that her new husband had designed for her. It's entirely black with just a stroke of white. Talia points at the black part of the dress. He said this is him. Then she points at the white. And this is me. What do you think? Interesting, right? Raphael pours himself a glass of water and takes a sip without looking. Has he ever designed a wedding dress? What do you mean? Talia raises an eyebrow. Then she smiles. No, but if you want to commission him, I can help you get a family discount. When Raphael leaves, Talia tosses him a small bouquet of flowers. He turns and catches them. I wanted to toss the bouquet to you that day, but you left early. This was what I had left. Raphael looks down at his hand. An unknown flower sits in his palm, reminding him of someone. On his way back, he sees many familiar faces among the Verona street performers. Those people stand amidst music, colour and dancing bubbles. They smile at him. Raphael remembers what Talia said at the wedding. Everyone was looking for an anchor. It's why they're still here. He waves back, hoping they can make their dream come true. Then he turns around and goes home. Chapter 6. Gloriosa. Are you tired from painting? You don't look so good. Charles wraps up the fiery flame lilies Raphael chose and hands them over. Are these also a gift? I think they suit you more. Great. Raphael takes the bouquet. I'm thinking of giving them to someone. Are you giving yourself away? Raphael never mentioned it, but Charles had a hunch a long time ago. There must be someone in his heart that he didn't want to mention. My garden is always open to you. He pats Raphael's shoulder, then sees him and his flame lilies off. The flowers are light, their weight in his hand almost non-existent. He walks for a long time after leaving the garden, but he still hasn't decided whether or not he should give this bouquet away. He hasn't come up with a good excuse either. When your own heart is devouring you, is there anything that can pull you back? He remembers the question Talia once asked and avoids the underlying meaning. Can this flame lily bouquet become his anchor? He's not sure. Under the night sky, the black waves haven't fully rolled in. For now, he still has a chance to get a good sleep, until he must face the never-ending tsunami in his dreams alone.